Look, we funded startups with top credentials as well as no credentials. And I mean by that, for example, college dropouts. And these are not IIT or MIT college dropouts. These are, tier two college dropouts. So we're looking for signals, right? And these signals come in many different forms, and it's actually very hard to generalize. Founders should reflect on obviously why they're the right team for the problem and try and get that across. Um, and honestly, and to be quite straightforward about it, if you can't sell that aspect of your strength, that's a weak sign on your ability to sell, period. So balanced team, complementary skills, uh, these these things are, again, it's very hard to subjectively speak about this, because after seeing hundreds and hundreds of um, decks in different spaces, I'm sure many investors start to get a flavor for what type of skill sets might actually work together, what type of personalities. And this is an initial guess, right? So if it's interesting enough, then you actually have a conversation and substantiate your own understanding. And you might be wrong, you might be right, but then you again recalibrate over and over. And then you get those things like you mentioned about, passion, commitment. You get a sense of that, and you get a sense of the amount of dedication that is going into this business building. So for example, on the flip side, somebody with top credentials might be able to walk away to a top job in some other industry, and or he or she might have several things to their credit which are obvious, some things which may not be obvious. And similarly, founders which who don't have many strong credentials on paper, at least, might have several other data points which will not be showing up on a pitch deck or a LinkedIn profile or even their CV. So you have to sort of hunt it out, and you have to know how to hunt it out. So sure, team plays a huge, it's probably the largest role, as even Mark and Andreessen acknowledges this, that at the pre-seed or very early stage, team is almost everything.
Sure.
Rahul?
Rahul, what do you think?
Yeah, I want to start there. I think at the stage where I like to invest, I think team is probably one of the most important things next to the problem space. Um so many things. I think, like Uday said, I have not been able to come across a rubric which is a must, which is a sure shot, right? Like definitely backed uh, founders from IIT Bombay and all the IITs, backed founders from Harvard and other business schools. And those are the companies that were the quick first ones to shut down. And backed founders who were dropouts, and those companies are doing very well, and everything in the middle. So I think if somebody did not go to IIT, I think maybe your chances of building a very successful venture are higher, because the person who went to IIT also looks at the mirror and says that I went to IIT, so maybe I have a lot of options, and if it works, it's fine. If it doesn't, then okay. So that is a problem. So I mean, essentially, all I'm trying to say is not taking a dig at IITs. I'm very very proud of IITs, but there's no one factor. I think nobody should put themselves down because they went to a certain institute or did not. Uh, but what is important is, I mean, I'm very interested in knowing the person's story in general, right? Of late, I've found that sports people tend to have the grit that is likely needed. So being a sports person is a plus, and I'm saying that as not a sports person. I'm not a sports person, but I definitely feel that that always comes across as a plus, because you've experienced things which no academic institution will necessarily teach you only. So that is there. If there are more than one founders, which is I'm a little bit uncomfortable with single founder companies, but we have back single founder companies also. But if there are more than one founders, then what are the roles that they're playing? Because startups can tend to see that too many cooks in the kitchen syndrome. So if it's not a complementary skill set, I think it is a bit of a flag. Because sometimes you see that in a very early stage company, there's somebody who's a CEO, and then there's a COO, then there's a CBO, and then there's a CIO. Like, why do you need so many people with those heavy titles? And what are you bringing to the table? And then the other aspect, of course, as an investor is, therefore, what is the equity dilution if you have too many people? So every person has to be there for a purpose. Complementary skill sets is definitely a key. I think outside of that, knowing I think people who have faced adversity of some kind, right, whether it
Yeah.
is health and sickness related of your own, of your family members, or it is, like I said, adversity could be in a sports form, or it could be, somebody got laid off, somebody, any of these things, right? I think those tell you that the person has what is needed, which is resilience, right? That they can bounce back. Because in a startup journey, I think there will be more low moments than high moments, and the media will only show you the high moments. But if somebody doesn't have the ability, like I certainly remember passing on a few deals where other things were fine, but the uh, let's say if you're during a live pitch like this, and somebody's internet connection kind of is breaking, or something, electricity goes out or something, and you see them so damn flustered. So I'm like, if you're so flustered with because a high stakes meeting something went wrong, so how will you manage when stakes are higher? So I think that resilience plays a very, very important role. So these are soft sounding factors, but in my mind these are like power factors. So self mastery is very, very important, and in the founder and the founding team. And then of course, I do want to know that for the skills that you yourself do not possess, can you hire the right people, right?
Yeah.
And then in that is baked in, sometimes people are so greedy with equity that their ESOP pools are like 5%, 3% or something. So that itself is a thing that if you are not willing to share wealth with your team, who will come in and build something fantastic for you, then that itself is a flag. So it's a complex set of factors, but I think I want to do business with good people, right? And somebody gave a very nice definition of it, that alignment, right? Jahan pyar nahi, wahan vyapar nahi. So I think just having that mutual love and respect is very important, because it will be a long-term relationship, right? So that alignment is very important.